We are fueled up, restroomed up, and we're back at it, right? Second semifinal of today was supposed to be the 11 o'clock game. The number 1 seed New York Gremlins and Fisher's Fastball, the number 4 seed, going at it here at Brookside Park. And thank you for joining us, folks. I am Dan Chandler, and I will be your waitress. Actually, I'll be your announcer. How's that sound? Awesome. Andrew Kirkpatrick is on the hill, the big lefty for the Gremlins, and he is facing leadoff hitter Zach Shirk, who will play third base. And Shirk will have a seat, the first victim of Kirkpatrick. Jake Finstermacher will be your second hitter for Fisher's Fastball. And Fisher's Fastball 1 and 2, right, in this tournament? Sound right? And the Gremlins 3 and 0 as the big man delivers inside. And he is, when I say big man, that's an understatement. Was he 6'6", 6'8"? How tall is he? 6'7". He's 6'7". And looks like he's stepping on the plate. Ground ball up the middle. Cole Evans across to Eric Ochoa. 2 away in the top of the first inning.
With 2 down, brings up the right fielder, Andre Hoover.
Andre Hoover will step into the box. Hits in the third spot for Fisher's Fastball, who hails from what? Lancaster? Lancaster, PA. Which is about the same distance Mark Hastings will have to travel to go home. It's not close. We're glad you came across. We're glad you came to see us, Marky. It's always a good thing when Mark shows up. Although I'm still waiting for what's in your trunk that you haven't delivered to me yet. That new flavor, right? Mango, right? Yeah. That sounds wonderful. Icy Light Mango. That sounds pretty good, buddy.
Dan, I was told to tell you my family really enjoyed the BB gun story.
The Van Dyne family enjoyed the BB gun story in the first game. Maybe we can repeat that again. Andre Hoover, a strikeout victim after a half inning here at Brookside Park in the second semifinal matchup of the Ashland Invitational. The Gremlins coming to bat on Softball Premier TV. One, two, that's the cue. Bottom of the first inning from Brookside Park in Ashland, Ohio, as Matthew Waugh will step in to face pitcher Geraldine Rutt as we are in the second semifinal matchup. And, well, if you're watching the first game, you heard the story I told about the BB gun over here. Mike Van Dyne, who did the game yesterday. Seniors listen to the game. A Hall of Fame baseball player at Iowa State University Mike Van Dyne Sr., but probably not as good as Bill, Grandpa, right? And Mike Van Dyne Sr., the catcher and player manager for the Faultless Rubbermen back in the day, the Rubbermen were pretty good. And incidentally, Mike Sr. was the most talented athlete in the family, including the 3 boys. Although, 4 boys, yeah. 4 boys. Got to remember Matty. I coach Matt. Mitch, Mike, Mark, and Matt. 4 boys. Kathy was breathing a sigh of relief. She said I only had 3 to deal with. Ground ball back to Rutt, who flips it over to his first baseman, A.J. Fisher. 1 away. Jerome Ramaki will step in to the batter's box with 1 away, bottom of the first inning. Anyways, I told the story about the BB gun, right? And we were kind of joking about that in between games here. Back when that happened, Mikey, what year was that? Probably in the 90s? Probably early 90s when that happened, when the Van Dynes took the BB gun out and chased the Worcester boys back home, the neighbors. Well, back in the day, because there was an injury inflicted with the BB gun, it shot one of the boys in the knee, they had to call the Ashland Police Department, right? Now, back in the day, they sent one guy who showed up and wanted the story, you know, looking at the kids and saying, hey, you know, I'll ground you if you don't tell me. Today, they just showed up with full SWAT team, right? Guns drawn, and the poor Van Dyne boys would have been all on the ground, laying sprawled out, scared to death. But that's the way times have changed, right? Right. As it stood, I think I was just sitting on the couch watching TV. I wasn't even worried about it. I was going to let the kids work it out. Figured it was an even fight. Ramaki takes a strike on the 3-0 count. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, bottom of the first. And the Gremlins, the number 1 seed, with a 3-0 record. Now, I believe they're 20-1 on the season. Is that right? I could look, but why look when I think I remember? And that is delivered high and deep and over the scoreboard. Ramaki with the home run makes it a 1-0 score very quickly in this one. And that was a blast.
Home run by Ramaki makes it 1-0. Brings up the first baseman, Eric Ochoa.
Jerome pretty fired up there as he gets the high fives or high fist bumps from his teammate.
People were asking me if that ball in the last game actually went as far as you said.
It did. So Mike Van Dyne just said to me, people are asking him how far that home run went in the last game when I said it went 350. And Mike told him it did. He hit that ball in the town, as we call it, crick. Normal people would call it creek, but we're not normal in Ashland. And I'm serious, folks. That last ball was hammered right there in that home run from Ramaki, but the home run that was hit earlier to the left field cleared the cars. The fence is about 225 down the line. It went another 125 at least. Let's just put it this way, and that's a line shot and going to be retired by Blake Hunter is the batter. I should say Ryan Nolt of the Fisher's fastball catches that ball. I got to make sure I'm looking at the right lineup as Ochoa lines out to second, and Wayne Laula is now up to bat. Let's just put it this way, Mikey. That ball was hit so hard in that first game, if I'd have walked out to grab it and walked back, I'd have got all my steps in for the day. Laula takes a ball that looked like it might have been a strike. And, well, I think some of the fastball players are letting the umpire know. Rutt hops, delivers, and it's high. 2 balls. And talked to Greg Leather before the game, and he has his team ready to go as they got a little more sleep than everybody else. And when you're the number 1 seed, you deserve it, right? Hastings, do you ever know what it was like to be a #1 seed? Hastings says he remembers what it was like to be a #1 seed in the C division. I'm kidding. Wayne Laulu with the 3-1 count. And Geraldine Rhett rocks, hops, and lets it go, and it's high. Ball 4. This Gremlins offense is potent, and when you give them extra chances, they're even more potent. Zenon Winters, the right fielder, will step in. The number 5 hitter in the lineup with the runner on first and his team leading 1-0 on the home run from Ramaki. And that pitch is just a bit high. Second pitch, going to be outside. And Laulu motioned over to the dugout. He's trying to figure out, I think, how many outs there are. Well, Wayne, I can yell out there and tell you there's 2. And the pitch is a ground ball into center field, a base hit. Laulu will take a trip over to third base, so we'll have runners at the corners with 2 outs. And Winters with the single brings up Cole Evans, the shortstop. Cole Evans, a pretty good player in his own right. Shortstops are generally the best player on your team. Mikey's popping off over here. Shortstops are supposed to be good. Well, they are good. We know that. They're generally the best player in your lineup, right? Because they have to be able to field the ball. Shortstops field the ball. What's the percentage that a shortstop fields the ball more than the other players on the team? Look that up and get that for me. You got Google on your phone. But they make the most plays, right? They always make the most plays. Besides the catcher, right? If you've got a good strikeout pitcher and the ball's high. It's the toughest position to play on the field. That's why Mike never played it. Mike played right field in T-ball. That's how good he was. And believe it or not, because his parents are realistic. I mean, Mike's dad is the most realistic guy you'd ever meet for softball or baseball or whatever. He's the most honest guy. He's never going to tell you his kid's better than they are. So everything he told me about Mike was true. He'd be honest. Mikey played a little bit and did a good job. Ground ball to Ryan Nolt, who flips it over to A.J. Fisher, and that'll do it in the bottom of the first inning for the Gremlins. 1 run on a home run by Jerome Ramaki makes the score Gremlins 1. Fisher's fastball, nothing. We'll return on Softball Premier TV after this. Sean King will lead off in the second inning for Fisher's fastball, and he takes the Kirkpatrick offering and swings at it up high for strike 1. It makes sense that Jeff Banks, who was a Merchant CSS player, right? And Mike Welch, who once upon a time gave up threw 4 knuckleballs to me, and I deposited all 4 into center field for base hits. 2 away. What's so funny, man? That I had 4 hits? Tyler Albert, the catcher, will step into the box.
Now batting the catcher, Tyler.
I used to tell Mike Welch that was so slow I could run it to home.
I think that's the only pitch Mike had.
Hey, he got a lot of people out with those knuckleballs, didn't he? Except for me. Four hits is almost a whole season for you, Mike. And that's how many times he got hit by the pitcher. Kirkpatrick delivers high to Tyler Albert. Now you got to keep track of the count over there, Mikey, because I lost my help.
I got 2-0.
2-0, 2 balls, no strikes. And strike one, swing and a miss. Andrew Kirkpatrick is also a very intimidating lefty, as you can see. And delivers strike two. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Top of the second inning. Fisher's fastball trailing the Gremlins 1-0 here on the New York Gremlins network. And that is right down Brookside Drive. Now, there's really not a Brookside Drive, but if there was one, that was it right there, right? It's Parkside Drive. But that was thrown right down Brookside Drive, we'll call it, because that makes sense. And Tyler Albert took strike 3, and there's 2 outs. And Menno King, the center fielder, will step in the box. Strike 1. He is wasting no time getting ahead of these hitters. Of course, Kirkpatrick and Beesgrove, about as good a 1-2 punch as you're going to see in softball. Strike 2. Until Luciano returns, we only have 1 camera angle, just so it's not on me. Ball 1 high. And we have seen a few home runs in this tournament, folks, including the one Ramaki delivered in the bottom of the first inning. And that is a ground ball, and Kirkpatrick will turn around and fire over to Eric Ochoa, and that'll do it in the top of the second inning. We'll keep it here because our help has had to take off for a minute. So no runs, no hits, no errors in that inning. And Kirkpatrick is throwing pretty well right now as he's retired all 6 batters. And the guys beside me did 16 hours of softball yesterday. And I heard you all enjoyed 15 hours and 45 minutes of it. Last 15, they were kind of checked out, weren't you? All right, he had me on a break. I didn't know it either, but he just sent me back, so. That's my guy. He probably put me on a break the whole game so he didn't have to listen to me, but, you know, that's all right. With my pro bono attempt here, I think I'm okay. Blake Hunter leads off in the bottom of the second inning for the New York Gremlins, and he dons the jersey of a guy I had a conversation with before the game who wanted to make sure I mentioned his name, but I mentioned his name Friday. We talked about him a lot. Nick McCurry. McCurry, an assistant coach on the Gremlins, a guy that I grew up around. He's the reason that I traveled in style for all those vacations as he sold my parents one of those old custom vans back in 1984. They had to go pick up in Indiana. You've heard of the Griswolds? Well, we were similar. By the time we'd get home, we'd be begging to stop, and my stepdad would say, hey, well, maybe there's some cereal in the back. It was so bad. There was a place called the Barn, the Farm. Remember, it was the Farm. Before that, it was the Red Barn. As rocks and fires and the ball's deep to right field, and that one's gone. Home run for Blake Hunter, and that's what happens when you wear Nick McCurry's jersey. That's the second home run of this contest, and the first home run for Hunter, who puts his Gremlins team out to a 2-0 lead. So yeah, I didn't have Malarchek in the lineup, so I guess I do now. Oh, he's before Mullins. I might want to put him before Mullins. That's what happens when you get old. So Malarchek follows Hunter, and not Mullins will follow him, as we have no outs here in the bottom of the second inning and a 2-run lead for the Gremlins. Back to my story, right? Do you remember the Red Barn?
Yes.
All right, so I used to, when I was in kindergarten, which was a lot of years ago, right, like 49 years ago, my aunt used to take me to kindergarten, and she'd drop by the Red Barn and give me a chicken snack. Not a dinner, right? You don't need a dinner when it's lunchtime, because I went in the afternoon. Chicken snack. But when the whole family went into Red Barn, we'd get to the door, and the manager would start sweating. He would start sweating. He would, oh, my gosh, here they come again. Now, listen, we'd clear that whole buffet out. 6 kids, 3 stepkids, the 3 kids of my mother's, the 3 kids of my stepfather's, and my stepfather and mother would clear that buffet out. Put the fear of God into the manager at the Red Barn. Reaches out and touches one, and he's going to get thrown out. Excellent play by Zach Shirk to A.J. Fisher. 1 away in the bottom of the second. So a really good place to – do you remember that place, Mikey? Really good place to eat.
Mullins, owned by Ted.
Yeah, exactly.
I was more fond of the Dairy Dolly.
Yeah. Well, Mark's bringing back all kinds of memories. He just talked about the Dairy Dolly. Neither one of those places even exist anymore. Sherwin-Williams is where the Red Barn is. And what's where the Dairy Dolly is? The dollar store? I think the dollar store is. The Dairy Dolly was a place where they used to come out and wait on you. That was owned by Glenn Paramore. And Ted Jacobs owned the Red Barn. Ted, a legend of his own, right? Remember, his mom lived to be over 100, Helen. Do you remember the farm out there?
Out on 511.
Yep. My brother did a lot of work for her. One of those guys that helped clean out the buffet. Yeah. Ted Jacobs played basketball for Ohio State. Yep, absolutely. Nick Mullins steps in for the Gremlins, and I've got to use my whiteout. I don't know how I missed him. Malarchek. It's because Mark was reading me the names. No, I wrote those in earlier. You were reading me the other names. The other lineup's right because you read it to me. Rhett fires and, well, to the same guy. And the same thing happened. Shirk to Fisher. 2 away. So we're back to the top of the lineup.
2 away brings up the left fielder, Matthew Waugh.
Matthew Waugh, spelled R-O-Y, right? Just like the goalie. From Quebec, yep, exactly. And I wouldn't have known that if Mark Hastings wouldn't have told me. I thought ROY stood for Rookie of the Year. I wasn't sure. Strike one. Well, they play a little bit of hockey in Canada, right? Just a little bit. In the U.S., do you know the state with the best hockey in the United States? No. When you grow up, if you grow up somewhere, where do you want to grow up if you're a hockey player? Minnesota. Mark Hastings. on about try number 3 gets it. Yeah, a lot of the kids that play high school go in Minnesota go to Division I. A lot of the other kids play in junior leagues until they get good enough to play Division I. It is definitely a path if you're a hockey player. Hockey's probably the hardest sport to play. Would you agree? It's very hard. The best skaters are the best hockey players. Mark Hastings says golf. That's hard for him. I don't know about the rest of us. I really don't play competitive golf anymore, Mark. My son actually traveled down with Tyler Sabo, who plays at Ohio State. He's an Ashland kid, to caddy for him at the Southern Amateur this week. And they came home early, which is never a good sign. Wah will await the pitch from Jerlin Rutt. And he drives it deep, and will it go foul? No. It's going to be caught in a great play, as jumping up to make the catch for Fishers is Andre Hoover. And that's it for the Gremlins in the bottom of the second, as he saves another run as he reached over the fence and grabbed that one. The score from Brookside Park in this semifinal from Ashland, 2-0 Gremlins lead on the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. Except for one guy, Masmu, who hasn't batted that much. He gets 2 out of 3 times he comes to the plate, he's got hits. No, and he's not 2 for 3, Mark. That's a strike. And 2 strikes on the batter, A.J. Fisher. Fisher waits for Kirkpatrick and grounds one to the shortstop. And he'll go across the diamond again. And Cole Evans retires the last 2 guys to Ochoa. And that's the end of the 3rd inning of play from Brookside Park in Ashland, Ohio. The Gremlins 2, Fisher's Fastball nothing. You're listening to the New York Gremlins Network on Softball Premier TV. Got my cue from Luciano. 1-2. And we're back here at Scott Stoner, one of the sponsors of this tournament. Steps in from the South Street Grill. Scott donning the t-shirt and the pretty shorts. You could play, Stoner, you could play checkers on those things. Jerome Ramaki, and the last time Jerome Ramaki stepped up to the plate, folks, it wasn't pretty. If you're a Fisher's Fastball fan, as Ramaki delivered one over the fence. 2-0, his team leads. And Ramaki takes Rhett's offering on the outside corner for strike one. Ramaki on the season. Thank you, buddy. Ramaki on the season has 16 hits and 45 at-bats for a .356 average, and make that 17 hits as he hits it into right field.
Base hit for Ramaki.
Ramaki 2 for 2 on the day, and that'll bring up first baseman Eric Ochoa, who was the recipient of 3 ground balls from the shortstop, 2 and 1 from the second baseman, as he recorded all 3 outs. Got all 3 putouts in the last inning. Eric Ochoa, thanks, Scott. Eric Ochoa steps up to the plate, the left-hander, with a runner on first and no outs here in the bottom of the third. And Geraldine Rhett delivers, and he hits it up the middle. Nice play by the second baseman, and he gets to the bag and will retire Ramaki. And that was a heck of a play by Ryan Knoll.
Brings up the designated player,
Knoll
Wayne Laulu.
with the unassisted out, the first out of the contest, Ochoa with the fielder's choice, and Wayne Laulu will step up. Not to be confused with Dwayne Laulu. That must be his cousin, Mark. Hey, you know what's funny? I just got a message from my wife. She actually tuned into Fastpitch softball. She listened to a little bit of the first game. Said she enjoyed it. I got her fooled. She is on her way. We have, that's right. She knows. She's actually knows where I'm at. Life 360 did that already, Mark. She didn't need to know where I was at via the TV. But we have the rest of the tournament up in North Ridgeville today. She'll be driving my daughter up to finish the rest of the tournament. The last tournament my daughter has of the season. She's a 14U player. Plays second base and shortstop, and went 4 for 6 yesterday with her first home run of the season. An inside park home run down the right field line. When she hit it and the girl dived with McKenna's speed, I said, well, that's going to be her first home run of the season. She got her mother's speed. She didn't get my speed because she would have made it to first before they threw her out at second. One ball, 2 strikes to Laulu. And Geraldine Rhett slowly walks up to the rubber. Runner on first base is Eric Ochoa. And Laulu gets the pitch, and it's a little inside. The Gremlins can put some runs on the scoreboard, for sure. And Laulu on the season is hitting a cool .333. And that is a fly ball, and it's going to go out of play. .333 at this level, pretty good. Real good. Where's Wayne Laulu from, guys? He's a New Zealander. And, well, I know that. And that ball's going to be hit into right field. And a heck of a diving catch right there by Andre Hoover. And his teammates appreciated that one. That's a big-time play, folks. 2 outs, and Zenon Winters will step into the box, the counterpart of Mr. Hoover, the right fielder of the Gremlins.
Dan, if that was me in right field, that ball would have been rolled to the fence.
Mike Van Dyne said, folks, if that was him in right field, he would have missed it, and it would have rolled back to the fence for another in-the-park home run, right? Yeah, he would have probably had – we probably would have seen the meat wagon come to pick Mikey up. The meat wagon, of course, being the ambulance. The ambulance. Mikey was a career right fielder.
Most of my time, yes.
For most of his career, because that's where his dad coached him most of the time, if that tells you anything.
Yep.
Mike, do you remember back in the day your dad was coaching the well, that's a high fly ball to center field, and he's going to run out of real estate, folks, as that is a home run for Zenon Winters. That's the third jack of the game for the Gremlins and puts them out now to a 4-0 lead as Zenon Winters with 2 RBIs and really hit the ball pretty high, and it carried out. Wind is blowing out. Most of it's coming from the press box. So when Mike Jr. here that did all the games yesterday with Mark Hastings, when Mike was about 16 years old, his dad coached one of the Ashland travel teams. I coached another one. You remember that, Mikey? Yep. And we played him up at the college baseball field and came back to beat him. And then I had to run from that game down to a Pony League game, and we won that game too. So I was 2-0 and Mike was 0-1, which was a typical night in Ashland. Cole Evans steps into the box. Evans wears number 34 and plays shortstop for this Gremlins team. We've seen some pretty darn good shortstops come through Ashland over the years. Evans with the shot into left field. And with 2 outs, he'll start the rally once again as Blake Hunter will come into the box.
Brings up the second baseman, Blake Hunter.
Blake Hunter, the last time he was up, hit a home run. Wearing Nick McCurry's jersey. And Nick, of course, I told him about, Friday we talked about him a little bit. Nick's been he's been in Ashland for a long time, right? He's been in Ashland for a long time. His grandkids played some baseball, and Nick is just a softball guy. He loves the game of softball. Nick's put together more teams over the years than you can imagine. And it's pretty neat to have him a part of this team. 2 outs. Yep, that's the kind of guy you root for. Nick was one of the guys that brought softball to life in the 80s and 90s here in Ashland. Of course, there's a lot of guys that played pretty high-level softball that lived in Ashland, right? I mean, we'd bring in some players. We talked about Hayden Smith and the double-fisted burritos he'd bring in at breakfast time. Hayden Smith, when he tried out for the Cleveland Indians back in the day, threw 75 miles an hour underhand, a baseball. But he threw the softball a little harder. But he had to throw from, 60 feet 6 inches when he's throwing a baseball, right? Fly ball out to right fielder Andre Hoover, and that'll do it for the Gremlins. But not before they put a couple more runs on the board on a home run by Zenon Winters. We'll go to the top of the 4th inning. The score, 4-0 Gremlins. You're watching the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. All right, we'll start the top of the 4th inning with Zach Shirk coming up to bat here for Fisher's fastball. The third baseman will face the guy that's been pretty flawless today, right? Andrew Kirkpatrick has retired 9 batters in a row. And Mikey, or Mark, one of the two, I didn't hear who it was. Who said that? Mark Hastings said don't jinx him, because we did say no hitter last game, and what happened? Guy got a hit. I mean, the odds of that happening, I mean, how can we affect the game, really? Seriously. We're standing up here in the press box, you know, doing the book and the public address announcing, and I'm doing TV, and we have absolutely zero to do with what's going on in the field. But as it stands, the odds of that happening when you say no hitter, it changes a lot. I don't know why. Softball gods, maybe? Full count on Shirk. And Kirkpatrick delivers, and ball 4 high. Shirk, is he going to appeal? The umpire stepped out like he might be looking for an appeal.
The left fielder, Jacob.
He did not. And so there you go. We just went from a perfect game to a walk. That's what happens, right? Didn't get a hit, but he got a base runner. Jake Fenstemacher, the left fielder, steps in, grounded out to the shortstop in his first at bat for Fishers. Fenstemacher, a fast player, and he bloops one up, and Cole Evans is going to drift back into the outfield and haul it in. 1 away.
With 1 down, brings it to the right fielder, Andre Hoover.
Andre Hoover robbed a home run, and now he'll step into the plate. He's the number 3 hitter, plays right field for Fisher's fastball. And Hoover looks at ball 1. And Nick Mullins pops up out of there because he doesn't want that runner to advance to second base. I mean, and this is going to be a 4-6-3 safe at first base, so they'll get the lead runner. But, typically in that situation, if that's your number 3 hitter and you've got a runner on first base with 1 out, you're probably not going to bunt. Not with your number 3 guy up, right? But any other time, you're probably going to try to lay 1 down.
With 2 outs, brings up the designated player, Sean King.
Sean King, the DP, will step into the box as we have now a runner on first again as Hoover replaces Shirk, who was out at second. So 2 down in the top of the 4th. And King to face Kirkpatrick, and he'll take ball 1 outside. And a little bigger crowd now here at the ballpark. Swing and a miss. Got to believe the championship game, it's going to get a little busier. The Lumberjacks are lounging down the right field line, waiting for their opportunity. And I think if coming into this tournament, I think everybody a lot of people thought it was going to be. Oh, shoot. I got it. No, okay. Thanks. Craig Scott delivers the hot dogs. And Kirkpatrick delivers the pitch. Strike 3. That'll be it for King, and that'll be it for his team in the top of the 4th inning. No runs on a walk and a fielder's choice. 1 man left on base. The score as we head to the bottom half of the 4th inning. The Gremlins 4, Fisher's fastball nothing. You're listening to the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. We're back, and I finally got my hot dog delivered. We got each one of us got a hot dog here for a little break. Mikey brought McDonald's, and I didn't want any McDonald's at the time. I just had Pop-Tarts. The new pitcher is Phil Zimmerman for Fishers, and he will face
The bottom of the 4th inning, the center fielder, Ladislav Malarchuk.
Malarchuk. And I've got to find my whiteout here as I grabbed a handful of ketchup. Didn't really want that. Delivers one up the middle, does Malarchuk. So leadoff hitter on board for the Gremlins. And that'll bring the catcher, Nick Mullins, up to the plate. The Gremlins lead this one 4-0 in the bottom of the 4th in this semifinal of the Ashland Invitational 3rd Annual. I'm Dan Chandler, and I appreciate you tuning in this afternoon to the New York Gremlins Network. And a strike on the inside corner to Mullins. Mullins on the season, a .243 hitter with a .341 on base percentage. And he hits one to the shortstop, who goes 6-4-3. Lukens to Nolt to Fisher, and just like that, 2 outs. Matthew Waugh will be the batter. He's 0 for 2. Fly ball out to right field last time, and put a little bit of a charge into it, but they brought it in, did the right fielder Hoover. The clouds have taken over. It's still a beautiful day, but the sun is blocked, and we're appreciative because it gets a little warmer up here in the press box. We've got 2 fans behind us, and I think those are only fans. The ones that are with electric, right? Hopefully the fans out there are enjoying this ball game. Phil Zimmerman replaced Geraldine Rutt in this inning. And a slow hit ground ball, gloved and thrown and safe at first base. Heck of a try by Ryan Nolt. And it's the only chance he had was to throw it over to first with his glove, but it didn't happen. And Matthew Waugh with the base hit as he legged it out brings up Jerome Ramaki. Ramaki with a home run in his first at bat. A single in his second at bat, but he's looking at a different pitcher this time. Ramaki, a .356 hitter, swings and fouls the offering back from Phil Zimmerman. I've got so many lists over here. I think it's Christmas time. But it's always everybody else's list. I didn't get to make my own anymore. That's what happens when you get old, Mark, right? When you get to double nickels or close, right? You're buying everybody else. And Mark has 2 daughters, beautiful kids, look like their mother. But he is a great dad. I'm going to tell you that right now. Mark is always, I see Mark with his kids, and he really does a great job. He did a great job with those kids coming up, and they're great kids. One college graduate now, right? Yep. And the other one's in college. Where's she going? Westchester, PA. She's a sophomore. Yep. Remember when those girls were born? And Mikey has 2. Kobe and Kylie. Throw down to first base, and safe is the runner. Wah. Ramaki now with a 2-2 count. Phil Zimmerman looks at his catcher, Tyler Albert. Rocks, hops, and foul ball back to the screen. So we were talking about, it's hard to believe that I've been married for 25 years. Time flies when these 2 boys and I are having fun. We were talking about highlights from the reception, Mikey. Mikey's trying to get me to sing the national anthem for the next game as Ramaki goes down on strikes, and that'll do it for the Gremlins in the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 your score. Gremlins lead. You're listening to the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. All right, we're back. Said, didn't even give me time to finish my hot dog over here. We got to come right back. We're just reminiscing over here. I don't get to see Mark enough. I see Mikey a little bit, not much. We text back and forth, Mikey. But Mark living 5 hours away. He built a house about a minute from me, stayed there for 3 years, and said I had enough of him. We were talking about weddings, though, right? These gentlemen out here, no, there's a few of them out here. I saw some wives around. And heads up, hit the top of the booth. I was trying to protect myself here, at least my hot dog, until I finished it. But I was talking about Mark's wedding. Mark said how much of a good time he had at my wedding. Well, Mark's wedding was pretty fun as well. But Mikey's wedding, I didn't remember. And I asked Mikey, I said, well, buddy, did you get married somewhere else? He goes, no, I got married right here at Trinity. Now, I go to Trinity, but I don't go to Trinity for weddings at Mike Van Nuyn's, obviously. He said it was a small wedding, just close friends and family. So now I know where I stand, Mark. All these years, man. I just figured it out. If Mike and Kathleen are watching this at home, shame on him. Friends and family. Mike Van Nuyn Sr., can you believe your kid did that to me? Foul ball. Tyler Albert leading off in the top of the 5th inning for Fisher's fastball. Facing Andrew Kirkpatrick, who's had a whale of a game on the mound, and he hits a ground ball. And that is Cole Evans to Eric Ochoa, out number 1.
With one away, brings up the center fielder.
Minnow King, the center fielder, the lefty, who can fly. But he hasn't ran as many bases as Robbie Black in this tournament. Just want to think about that. Go back to that for a second, Mikey. I can't get over this, man. Friends and family, small wedding. I'm glad you called me to do this today, or this weekend. Ground ball. And that'll be Blake Hunter to Ochoa, out number 2. Yep, who are you going to call? Not the guy you left out of your wedding. Okay, that's all right. I'll let it go. I'll let it go, Mike. I still love you, buddy. Yep. And your parents are the 2 of the greatest people on the planet, Mike and Kathy. Kathy, of course, she's got to be at least 59 now. She looks like she's 45 still. Your parents look young. They really do.
78, 75, man.
I'm not going to tell the people on the air. His parents are combined 153. Not going to tell you who's who, because Kathy might beat me to death. And Dad's a survivor. Dad's a survivor, a cancer survivor, and I don't know if he wants me to mention it, but we're glad to have him here. Praise God he's here. Just too tough, Mike. Hall of Fame baseball player at Iowa State that doesn't even have a baseball program. They have a club program now at Iowa State. And football players getting in trouble for betting. They got a decent football program now. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of 5. And Owen Lukens, the shortstop, watches the ball just outside from Kirkpatrick. I mean, that wasn't by much. A lot of cheering down there by the first base coach, trying to pump Lukens up, and Lukens hits one right back up to the middle of Kirkpatrick with those long arms, puts him away quick. That's going to do it in the top of the 5th for Fisher fastball. No runs, no hits, and nobody left on base. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Your Gremlins lead 4-0. You're listening to New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. Eric Ochoa, who's gotten a lot of action recently over at first base, retired all 3 batters in that last inning. Ball to the shortstop, second baseman, and pitcher, Kirkpatrick. And he caught all 3 of them over at first to retire the side. He'll lead it off here against Phil Zimmerman. Well, 16 hours of softball yesterday here at Brookside Park, and the field still looks like it just got started playing on, right? They're doing a great job. Ochoa swings and fouls one over close to where they used to have the horseshoes. They don't have those over there. What's now, shuffleboard? Yeah. Shows you the rise in the age of people in Ashland, Ohio when they switch from horseshoes to shuffleboard. It's easier to push than throw a horseshoe, I guess. Aging demographics, Mark Hastings says. Ball outside, count 2-1. My guy over here to the left, tell you what, he's getting it done. I thought he fired me in the 3rd inning, but I just kept going. Ochoa offered at it. Let's see. No. It's a ball. 3 balls, 1 strike to first baseman Eric Ochoa in the bottom of the 5th inning, where the Gremlins lead 4-0 here in the semifinals of the 3rd annual Ashland Invitational. Ochoa swings. Ground ball goes from Zach Shirk to A.J. Fisher. 1 out. We got a complicated system here in the press box, don't we? Got a couple pieces of typing paper with everything written out. Luciano has 3 monitors and a switcher over there. He's got 1 monitor showing me everything, including replays. And a foul ball by Laulu over top of the press box as Wayne steps in, the designated player, hitting cleanup for this New York Gremlins team with a walk and a fly out to right field. And that is a errant pitch inside. And Zimmerman has thrown 1 in the 3rd innings. He's got a strikeout and given up 2 hits, but no runs. Sometimes just a change at the look of the guy throwing it makes a huge difference. And that was low. Zimmerman probably about 6'3", would you say? 6'3", 6'4"? 6'3"? About 6'4". Delivers, ground ball. Same combination as last time as Zach Shirk to A.J. Fisher, out number 2. Zenon Winters will step in for his 3rd at bat of the ball game. Couple hits, couple RBIs, having a good day. Last time at bat, pretty solid home run. And that pitch got away from Zimmerman and actually went over the head of the batter, Winters. He's kind of laughing about it. Not funny if it hits you, though, right? Just inside. And We got people listening from all over the place. I mean, when my wife tunes in, that's pretty good. She doesn't want to listen to me at home. But Mark Hastings said that he's got a guy listening. As the ground ball over to Owen Lukens, over to Fisher, and that is 3 outs in the top of the 5th inning for Fisher's fastball. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th inning, or actually the top of the 6th inning. Your score 4-0. Gremlins lead on the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. Patrick will face off against the second baseman, Ryan Nolt, as we begin the 6th inning of play here from Brookside Park, the 3rd annual Ashland Invitational. And delivers ball 2. Well, it's a better day than it was than we thought it was going to be, because the clouds came in and pushed the sun away a little bit. And it's, even though it's nice and mid-70s, we've got a breeze here. And the other Hastings that got to sleep in showed up. Mike, Mark's brother. He didn't have to deal with 16 hours of softball. He works hard, though. I've seen him. He does. He busts his tail. And he has a little one, as we see a line out to Ochoa. Out number 1 as Nolt hits the soft line drive to him. And that'll bring up A.J. Fisher, the first baseman. Mikey, how old's the little one now? 6. Playing ball? T-ball, awesome. It's brutal, yeah. T-ball is brutal. It's funny though. It's kind of entertaining, right? It's entertaining, like this is entertaining on a different level. I gotta do a quick favor for Mark Hastings. He said, watching back home, Angel Soy Matias. He said back in York, PA, make sure you're at work on time tomorrow. For the first time, he said. You know, the way I figure that out, Mark, is when you start a new job, right? You go to work late the first week. So when you show up on time, they're appreciated. If you go to work on time and then you show up late, then they're like, oh my gosh, you're late, you know? So show up late and set everything, the expectations the right way. That ground out, 2 down as Fisher grounds out. And that'll bring up the leadoff hitter and third baseman, Zach Shirk. Am I right? You show up late the first week, and then when you're on time, they applaud you. If you show up on time the first week and you show up late, then they yell at you. Right. Yeah, I just, keep your expectations low and deliver a high performance. Mark's made a career out of that. Ground ball up the middle, base hit. I believe that's the first one of the ball game, folks. Bust the no-hitter, and we didn't even say anything up here.
Base hit for Shirk with 2 away. Brings up the left fielder, Jake Fenstermacher.
Fenstermacher, the left fielder, will step in for the Fisher fastball squad. And Zach Shirk breaks the no-no up with the hit. And, well, leadoff hitter tends to do that. So me giving the lessons on how to go to work, well, the guy I just gave a shout out to sent Mark a text and said, see you at 9:30. Makes sense. But it doesn't make dollars. I'm sure, you know, we're in July, right? So it's Christmas in July. So Mark, you got to get out there and build some of those. Got to build some of those displays. That's a strike, and that's strike 3, and that is it for Fenstermacher. Strikeout for Fenstermacher. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th inning. The Gremlins lead in this one 4-0. You're watching Softball on the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV. Cole Evans will step up here in the bottom of the 6th inning as Gremlins lead this one 4-0. Evans 1 for 2 in this contest. And coming into this game, Cole Evans was a .359 hitter on the season. Zimmerman delivers, and Evans swings and hits a ground ball to Zach Shirk, who throws it across to A.J. Fisher for out number 1 here in the bottom of the 6th. That'll bring up Blake Hunter.
Brings up the second baseman, Blake Hunter.
Hunter, of course, if you're following it at home and you see the back of his jersey, Hunter is wearing the jersey of assistant coach Nick McCurry. And that is a line drive to center field off the top of the wall. And Hunter will make it into second base with a double, stand-up double. As that was no more than, 10 feet high the whole way.
With 1 out, runner on second, brings up
So
the center fielder,
Ladislav Malarchek is, you heard from PA announcer Mark Hastings, will step into the box with a runner on second base, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. His team leads by 4. As after this one, they will take on the AWP Lumberjacks as if the score stands in the finals. And Mike Hastings will be doing the play-by-play. I'm kidding. He's not doing it. He's freaking out right now. He's like that manager at Red Barn when we used to show up for the buffet. Base hit into center field. And that'll bring the runner home to score. Hunter with the run.
by Malarchek, scores another run.
I really got to stop because I can't concentrate when I'm.
Brings up the catcher, Nick Mullins.
And Malarchek with the single. That's his second single of the game and his first RBI. 5-0 as Nick Mullins, the catcher, steps in for the Gremlins. Seriously, I think Mike was sweating a little bit back here. I got some energy. I'm drinking a peach V8 Plus. When my daughter notices I stole one of her V8 Pluses, I'm probably in trouble. I drink the pomegranate kind. She drinks the peach kind. But mine were out. My wife's not going to the store tomorrow, so, I'm going to steal one of hers. I paid for it anyways, right? Because Mark didn't bring me a mango icy light. Well, okay. I didn't see anything, so bring me one. And that's hammered out to left field, and that will hold the runner up at second base as Fenstermacher fires it in. But Malarchek gets back into second safely. And leadoff hitter Matthew Waugh will come in his last at bat. He had a single. Runners on first and second. And Tane Mumu comes in to run for Mullins. And, well, it looks like that's going to be it for Phil Zimmerman. We'll have a pitching change. We'll tell you who that is in just a minute when we come back. The Gremlins lead this one 5-0. You're listening to New York Gremlins on the Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV, and we'll be back right after this. Luciano gave me the cue, and Matthew Waugh will step in as the new pitcher is Zach Shirk, who moves from third base, and Brandon Fisher will now play third base for Fisher's fastball. Waugh with runners on first and second, his team up 5-0, throws a strike on the outside corner. Heck of a third baseman over there, Shirk, right? And the third guy to throw in this contest for Fisher's fastball. Right up the middle and should go right to the second baseman, and, well, everybody's going to be safe. It's one of those seeing eyeballs, right? Just hopped over the pitcher. Waugh with a single. Advances both of the runners. And Jerome Ramaki, who struck out last time but delivered a blast earlier in this contest. The first run was a home run off of Jerome Ramaki's bat. Second hitter in the lineup for this New York Gremlins team has the bleached his hair, it looks like you know how Ramirez did that, right? You see it? You know what? Hey, when I was at that tournament yesterday up in North Ridgeville, I saw some, I guess you'd call it professional wrestling. They were out in the middle of a ring in the middle of a place a bunch of softball players wrestling. I thought I'd see you too. And that's going to be foul, out of play, and the gate looks like it's open down there. I'd watched the big time wrestling back in the day, like the WWF, the WWE. I interviewed Jerry the King Lawler, as you probably remember, on the radio back in the day. the King, the Burger King. But I got to watch a bunch of, I guess they were called professional wrestlers. The acting was a little below average. But there were a lot of people out there watching them. And they were there for like 2.5 hours. Who sits and watches wrestling for 2.5 hours in the Victory Park in North Ridgeville, Ohio? Probably the same guy that's listened to all the games. Well, he couldn't have listened to all the games in and watched. Well, maybe he could have. So, well, if you're out there, Justin Blair, could you do both those things? Watch professional wrestling and take in all 12 softball games? Well, we have game number 11 right now, and we broadcast 10 of them. And Ramaki would like to repeat the stroke he had in the first inning and put the lights out here on Fisher fastball. Ground ball up the middle, base hit. That'll score at least 2, and it gets away. And that, folks, is runs number 6 and 7.
Third hit of the day for Ramaki ends the game.
And that is the ball game.
Gremlins 7, Fisher fastball 0.
So with that single for Ramaki, RBI number 3 on the day, and that is the end of the ball game here, and we'll head to the finals after a 7-0 win by the New York Gremlins. A great ball game to watch. The Gremlins will head to the final. We'll be back as they will face the AWP Lumberjacks. You are watching the New York Gremlins Network, courtesy of Softball Premier TV.
For the latest in softball innovation, the website where you can experience the best tournaments in the Americas. Live games, news, tournaments, and much, much more. The best quality live softball, on demand so you can watch when you want. Become a Premier member now, softballpremiertv.com.